Welcome back to Sky Gods. It has been about 6 months since my last update, and I really wanted to make a big update by the end of the year. Unfortunately, like I explained last time during the pandemic start, we all kind of got hit by this thing, and as a matter of fact, especially the movie business, entertainment business has been hit particularly hard. For those of you who have been following what's been going on, movie theaters have been closed. Streaming basically got a real kick in the butt, basically. It's been accelerating since then. And that is actually basically good news for the Sky Gods project. But I have a lot of stuff on the agenda. I actually did make some notes so I don't forget anything. So let's just get started and get into it so this video doesn't get to be too long. First of all, I want to do a little housekeeping thing here. A lot of you have been following me on social media and have been writing, and I really appreciate that. Also the comments, like especially those people who comment almost on a daily basis. I mean, it's really great to interact with people that can really get into it, despite the fact that we don't really have any finished show yet. However, about a couple weeks ago, I got a message on Facebook by a very frustrated viewer, fan, reader, whatever. And I kind of share his frustrations. He essentially wrote something to the extent of like, well, you've been talking about this for like 2 years and been showing some stuff, but we have not seen any actual footage. We have not seen any animation. You keep pushing it back and back and back. And yeah, where is it? Basically. And of course, I totally understand that type of thinking. I mean, if I was a fan of something, I like something, I want to have it too. I want to have it now. As a matter of fact, I want to have it yesterday. However, I do also have to kind of like, I wrote him a really nice comment basically, and because he was very complimentary of the artwork. He said beautiful artwork. It's just I'm kind of losing faith here. And I just kind of want to explain a little bit just before we get started with what is actually happening, what the whole background of the situation is. I mean, obviously for most of you, you see the product. For you, I'm not saying all of you, but for some of you, there is no distinction, no difference between what you see in Pixar or Disney or some anime stuff, where there's at times hundreds, maybe even thousands of people working on it. Just as an aside, on the Avengers, there was 2,500 special effects people working on. So then the other hand, then you have independent projects. I'm not the only one. There's about a half dozen other projects. They're sort of like lingering around, where there's like 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 people working on it. So with Sky Gods is essentially, and I've always said that basically, I remember my very first video was like, is it possible to make a animated TV show as a single individual animator? Now in between time, my team has grown a little bit. Basically, there's a few animators that are going to be involved in. There's a composer who's going to be involved with. There's going to be voice actors that are going to be involved with. So it's not just me. However, having said that, there is an economic situation to this. It's not like I can just sit down and just work on this every single day, unfortunately, because I am a professional comic book artist and animator, and I also have to make money. I have to get jobs done, which of course helps in the long run for the projects, because with every project I get a little better, I learn something new, and so on and so on. However, the real situation with this is that, especially in this time, in the place that I live, which is Switzerland, probably the most expensive country in the world. The kind of money that I have to make in order to survive is quite extensive, as you can imagine. And so there's only X amounts of time that I can actually, spend on a Sky Gods project. Of course, the big hope was, that was why I wrote the business plan, that at some point I will be able to transition to full-time work on it. That would speed things up dramatically. And again, as you will hear in a few minutes, we're working on things to be put in place to make this a reality in 2021, so I can really 100% focus on this, and then things will move really quickly. As a matter of fact, in October I've done a music video with Toon Boom for a client in America, and I've done the whole video 4.5 minutes, like in less than a month. So it is possible. The video actually looked quite good. It's not Sky God quality. It's not exactly that's what the client wanted, some kind of an Archer kind of thing. But still, it looked for less than a month, one person doing everything. it looked actually really, really good. So the answer to that person basically is, and to everybody who's sort of grown a little frustrated and saying like, well, he just keeps posting beautiful artwork, but where's the meat and potatoes? Well, meat and potatoes are coming, but with every piece of art that's being done, and again, we're going to get to this in a few minutes here, we get a little closer to a project. This is like building a house. You're putting a brick upon a brick on top of a brick on top of a brick. And yes, because I'm a one-person operation, essentially, it will take some time. So don't give up hope. I'm certainly not giving up hope. I am absolutely committed to this. And as a matter of fact, I am so committed that I'm going to say right now that this is going to be my magnum opus. This is going to be the big thing. And I think this is not only going to change my life, it's going to change a lot of people's lives. So be a little patient. It will come. As long as I keep posting every day and you see me around, you can write to me. I will answer as fast as I can. I'm approachable. So, as long as I'm here, everything is good. If you don't hear from me for like, a month or something like that, and I haven't made no post, then there's something wrong. But that's not the case. Anyway, so just to get this out of the way, I want to get started now with the actual updates on what's been happening in the last 6 months. So let's see what we have here first. Yes, I'm gonna just quickly talk about a few things that especially me and the composer Marian that I'm working with, was sort of like we're discussing in the summer how we're gonna really actually gonna make this happen. Not just talking about it, not just posting stuff, what needs to be put in place. And with no investment money coming in, basically, we all still having to survive. How can we make this happen? Basically, so we decided basically on the first and most important thing is the trailer. Now, meanwhile, I've gotten accustomed to the Toon Boom software, which is really fantastic, which is what I always wanted to make the show with. So I got that. I'm proficient in it. So the trailer is actually on its way. I'm going to take now over the holiday season, I'm going to take a couple weeks to really immerse myself in that. I got most of the sequences roughed out. I know now what I want to do. Especially the last sequence is going to be absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm not going to post anything on social media about this until the trailer is actually done. I will post some stuff on Patreon. For those of you in the animation tier in Patreon, you will see storyboards, you will see individual clips, you'll see pencils and so on, But for the most of you, you will see the trailer when it is done. And basically, Marian, the composer, he basically says, listen, instead of me making the score for the entire piece in one setting, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a custom score for the trailer. It's going to be about 1.5 minutes, probably not longer than that, because it has to be really, really good. It has to be absolutely kick-ass, and it has to show people what can be done, what the project is going to look like. So we're going to have a custom score just recorded with the orchestra just for this 1.5 minute. So that's the next step. The trailer, absolutely high quality, the best we can do at this point. Probably by February 2021. That is the goal. If I can really kick ass basically now over the holiday season, thank God, not a lot of people are going to be calling, so I can really focus on this. With the trailer, basically, we'll have a really good calling card, but obviously at this point, I'm not going to go look for any kind of investment. So what we're probably going to do is we're probably going to do some kind of a Kickstarter or crowdfunding campaign, but with different rewards or like perks that we have on Patreon or whatever is available. So I actually have some really, really nice idea for some perks that not a lot of people have done that will not be available anywhere else. And the idea is to kickstart basically the first episode. Now, it won't be that much money, so that should actually be doable with a stretch goal of like the other episodes. With a really nice trailer, I think we're going to get some real nice attention, and that will certainly help. But that's definitely one way how we can generate income basically to get this done and pretty much start right away. I don't have any other large projects scheduled basically past spring. So once the Kickstarter hits, and we can get the amount of money that we need, I can pretty much start right away 100%, and everybody else too. So we should be able to have the first episode done by late summer, fall, and then and so on and so on. So that was one of the things that we were discussing. So that is a really a meat and potatoes type of situation. Get the trailer done as good as possible, high quality score, high quality visuals, to really make an impression. And the second thing is, and that's another thing that I constantly get emails and DMs about basically, is where can I see it? And I talked before that Amazon has been really, really difficult as of late. Not only have they reduced the rate for hourly streaming, they've also kicked stuff off. Just no comments, no nothing. Just both, we delete your movie. We don't owe you anything. And one of the things that is really important to me is that everybody all over the world can actually see the show. So if you have Amazon or Netflix or whatever, it doesn't matter basically, because you're going to be in a place where you're not going to have access to that stuff. So it is very, very important that there is at least a central point where everybody in the world has access to it. And one of the best things to do these days is, and that is also brand new, that would not have been possible like a year and a half ago, is that you can actually get the OTT software to install on your own website, and you can essentially create your own Netflix type streaming platform. And that's what we're going to do. So basically on the SKY GODZ website, there will be like a SKY GODZ OTT platform, possibly even app and the Roku hookup basically, where you will be able to watch the show from anywhere in the world. It doesn't matter where you live, with a really, really easy access point. Now, I was talking about Vimeo before. Now, Vimeo is really good for a lot of things, and it also has a version where you can basically use Vimeo as your own OTT platform. The problem with Vimeo is that in order to watch the show, you need to become a Vimeo member. So there are several steps of hookups that you have to go through before you can actually watch the show. We're not going to do this like this. You will be able to be a SKY GODZ member, then you have access to everything, it's no problem. Or you can just watch the individual shows, whatever show is just going to be, there's probably going to be other content other than SKY GODZ. But if you just want to watch SKY GODZ episode 1, you click on it, type in your PayPal or card information, and you can watch. Literally, it takes like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And that is really, really cool. And that will allow everybody in the world, they can choose the language that they want. We'll have it subtitled in at least German, French, Spanish, and Portuguese in the beginning. You can watch it in all those languages, and you can leave feedback. And so it will be sort of like a community type of situation, and we can only do that because this software is now available and it works really, really, really well. So that's the big thing. The other thing is that we will still make the show available, of course, on other platforms. The jury is out what we're going to do with Amazon. There may be a TVOD situation, maybe Amazon Prime, but I'm not really sure yet. The real winner of this pandemic have been the AVOD platforms. Stuff like Pluto TV, Tubi, Plex. There's just a lot of those coming up basically because people don't have that much money anymore right now, and to subscribe to like 10 platforms. And even Netflix keeps raising the prices all the time. So if you're really cash strapped, you can watch stuff basically for free. Of course, you're going to have to watch the ads, but you can watch stuff for free. So we'll definitely want to try to get onto Tubi. Definitely want to try to get onto Plex. Some of or Pluto, some of the bigger AVOD platforms. I think that's a good thing. So especially if you're in the US, you're most likely going to have several choices of where you're going to be able to watch the show. Maybe if you're in South Africa or parts of Asia, probably won't have that many choices. So that is a good thing though, however, because everybody can watch the show on a site. Next course of action is the situation with the graphic novels, the games, and so on and so on. As you've probably seen on social media, and those of you who are patrons, I got a variety of other content coming, along with the show. That's why it is a transmedia project. We have a Ashtar graphic novel, which the cover is done. I'm working on the first 15 pages, which some of them are going to be uploaded before the end of the year. Now that I finally have some time to complete everything onto the Patreon page. The final book will be published probably, I'd say probably spring, April, something like that next year. You see the cover. I'm going to show you the cover right now. Of the book, and it basically features like the origin story of Ashtar. Of course, This is a fictional story. I'm not taking anything from the Fantastical story or any what anybody else has done basically, but it's something that ties into the whole Sky Gods universe, and he has some influences in terms of like the UFO lore. But I think you're really going to enjoy this. It's very, very, very interesting, very powerful story, basically, of, of course, a cosmic personality we all know and love. And the second graphic novel is going to be more about disclosure, basically, like we're looking at the whole Sky Gods universe from a current perspective and sort of rolling up some stuff from the past, also tying into some of the popular conspiracy theory things. That will come right after that. The art book, I've actually laid out the whole art book in InDesign, and I realized that now with so much new artwork that I have, I think I need to kind of change the layout. So initially the idea was just to show like the sketches, basically just one sketch after another, and just talk a little bit about the different alien races. Now what we're going to do basically is that I'm going to show the progress of the artwork, because a lot of the artwork, as you maybe have seen, I cleaned up. So for the card game mostly. So we have like an early version, we have like a color pencil version, and then we have like a finished, computer color version. So the art book now shows basically the progress of the individual beings and characters, which I think is actually a lot more interesting, than just showing sketch after sketch after sketch. You'll see on a double page, each alien has one double page, and you see like the progress from its early conception to the final art. Because a lot of you basically are also asking me, like, where do I draw my inspiration from? How do I get this information? Where is this even coming from? So this will give me a chance, sort of like, to talk a little about how did I get the information or the inspiration to create this character or that being or whatever. So it'll be a lot more informative. We'll have a little more text, and therefore will take a little more time, but it should also be out by spring. I hope there's going to be some festivals this spring, which I kind of doubt there will be, but it would be really great to promote this stuff, like also like in public. So books will basically be serialized on Patreon, and then in spring basically should be available on a few places. I mean, if you're a patron, you're gonna get the book anyway, as part of your contribution. If not, otherwise you're going to get it on the website or on Etsy. So I'm not sure if I mentioned this before. I've been really working on the Sky Gods card game. This will be a card game. It has about 86 cards. It will be sort of like in the vein of like a role play game, a card role play game, like Magic the Gathering, sort of like those things. So you can basically choose to be an alien being of your choosing. You can be a commander, or you can be like an Anunnaki, and there will be cards for all of those characters, and there will be cards for like all the events that they have to go through. So the exact rules, you will obviously see. We're going to test the game with local gamers here, people who are experienced with that, to make sure it's really playable, and about how long that it takes. And I'm showing you the packaging design. This is an early prototype basically of what the packaging looks like. Like I said, it will be 86 cards. There will be instructions, and there will be a little card thing. I may make a deluxe set, for those of you who are really collectors, and that will be signed and come with like a little comic booklet and stuff like that. Something really nice, just like just to collect. So the card game also, I hope I'm going to have this ready basically probably by late spring, probably around May or so. I got about 3/4 of the cards drawn. Just working on some layouts, and got to do mostly like the location cards, a lot of star portals, bases, just some of the mana that you have to get, some of the grail type of things, like some of the crystals and stuff like that you can pick up, to give you power and then protect you and fight other people. And yeah, that will be definitely really interesting. I've never done a card game in my life. That will be definitely a cool new experience. And I think it will really tie it nicely basically into the entire storyline, because you got to remember, each product needs to tie into the core storyline basically. And it doesn't matter what you pick up, you should always basically get some information about what's been happening before. And in an ideal case, if you have everything, you get the full picture. Another cool thing, and I've never actually mentioned this before, neither on social, not to anybody else basically, is that I've been approached a little while ago by a client to make 3D figures. This is something that has become really, really big already, basically, because of the 3D printing. 3D figures have been really affordable. Now, those figures were life-size figures. You know, I've already done one for one client before, but that was like last year. And the problem really was that we had trouble with the modeler. The modeler jumped off in the last minute. So the client basically says, like, well, David, you know, you can draw so well. Why can't you just model the stuff yourself? And you know, I have some experience with ZBrush, you know, going back way 20 years ago when ZBrush started out first, basically. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, why not? Actually, it's something I always wanted to do, was be like 3D modeling. And wouldn't it be cool if we had, like, you know, SKY GODZ figures, you know? What's standing in the way? Well, what's standing in the way basically was me not being able to model the figures. And so basically I told the client, listen, you know, you're paying for this, you know, I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to make this figure myself, and all the figures, because it's going to be a lot of figures over the next year. I mean, this will be, they want to buy 4 or 5 figures, you know, over the course of next year. So once I'm proficient in that, I'll basically get the chops to do those 4 or 5 figures. Which, of course, in the back of my mind is like, well, you know, if I do this for his clients, I can also do it for SKY GODZ. How great would it be to have like a little, I mean, I'm talking about action figures, you know, that you can play, that are movable maybe down the road, but I think that's a little childish, to be honest with you. What about just really cool standee figures, like, you know, about 4 or 5 inches tall, you know, of the various aliens and characters from SKY GODZ, you know, nicely painted. Maybe I'll paint them myself. Maybe I'll give that to somebody to do. But wouldn't that be really cool? Like, it's like, for example, as a crowdfunding perk or as a collectible to have, you know? I mean, I always love figures, and I think that would be really, especially because of the size relationships. Now you got to remember that humans are, you know, back at the time, they're probably 5 feet, five heads tall. You know, the Anunnaki were probably about 2 meters 50, you know, so like, they're fairly tall. You know, but then you have like the Dracos, you know, which are like, you know, 7 meters or taller. So you have like the different figures, and you see like an exact size relationship of the figures. So that's just something basically to put out there. Now this has to go fairly quickly, you know. They want to do this other figure in January, so I have to figure out in detail exactly how I'm going to do this. And but I know I don't see much of a problem, you know, because like I said, you know, I have some experience with ZBrush, and I've been doing this for a while. So stay tuned on that, probably early in the year. Maybe you can leave in the comments which will be the first figure that you would like to see from the SKY GODZ universe, of your favorite aliens, you know, that I can do, and I can do like as a test figure to show you basically what it would look like. As you can see, we got quite a bit of stuff going on. I think 2021 will be finally the year where we'll see this all come to fruition. And first of all, you know, I absolutely thank you for your support. Those of you who have been leaving comments, those of you who have been following, who've been subscribing, and especially those who have been supporting me on Patreon. I really, really appreciate that. You see your name, I'm going to show your names quickly, and the highest regards to you. Now, towards the end of the video now, I'm going to show you like some artwork, make it like a nice little collage. So just look at this, you know, enjoy it, and I wish you a happy holiday, and take care of yourself, stay safe, and Happy New Year.